and we should be live.
Okay.
Do you think we're live? I don't
It
know. I
said to me
don't.
it said to me that it's going streaming live, so I think we're live.
Okay. So in that case, we are. So hello to the wonderful Jennifer Swanson. May I call you Jen?
Of course. How are you doing, Mel? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing good. Anytime I get to interview somebody as illustrious
Oh.
as you, I'm a happy camper. Or
Well,
as
thank
they,
you so much. Yeah, I don't think of myself that way, but thank you.
well, okay. So I'm going to brag about you a little bit. You've written
Okay.
what 50 books,
Yep.
won multiple awards. You've been with the astronauts. You've been everywhere except outer space. Um, and I'm not putting that past you either. So
I don't know about that.
before we start, I'm supposed to introduce myself. So I'm Mel
Okay.
Rosenberg, and I am the host of the Children's Literature Channel of the New Books Network. And I'm here with the wonderful author Jennifer Jen Swanson. So Jen, this is the second time on the program, and
Yes.
we're gonna celebrate two of your brand new books. One that launched. That's a good word for you. Launched the day before yesterday.
Yes.
Show it, wave it to everybody.
Oh, okay. So it
This is
is.
the
Yes.
Atlas Obscura Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World with
Yes.
Dylan Thuras.
Yes. Of Atlas Obscura. He is one of
Go
the
ahead.
founders,
Yeah,
co-founders of
hold on.
Atlas
Jen,
Obscura.
Jen, hold on. So we also have another book that came
Oh,
out just 2 months ago that we're going to mention, and then we're going to go back to,
okay.
invent, to inventing the world. So now, inventing the periscope. Go ahead.
Oh, this one is a periscope. How engineer Ray Montague revolutionized shipbuilding. And this was illustrated by the amazing Veronica Miller Jameson.
And this one has been out a few months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's been out a while. It is about the Navy's, one of the Navy's hidden figures, Ray Montague, who's just amazing, amazing woman.
And this came out with Little Brown.
Yes, came out with Little Brown Book for Young Readers. Yeah, and Atlas Obscura was with Workman Publishing.
Absolutely. So before we go back to the Atlas Obscura, which is going to be
Mhm.
the main subject of our discussion today, why don't you a few words about our periscope? Show us a picture to.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Sure. So this book actually came about because I was kind of, you know how you like scroll through the internet and you kind of watch the titles and whatever. Well, I saw somewhere in it was Arkansas that there was I saw this title, we're interviewing the Navy's hidden figure. And I was like, oh, because I think most people know I graduated from the Naval Academy about 35 years ago now. I was in the 11th class that had women. And so I was really interested. And I went to the website and I watched the interview with Miss Montague and I contacted the TV station. And I was like, hey, this is kind of, I'm an author and I would love to write a book about Miss Montague. And they connected me with her son, Dr. David Montague. And then there was lots of emails back and forth, me saying, I really am who I am. So, you have to make sure you are who you say you are. And then he agreed to set up an interview with his mother. Now, this was years ago. I think I talked to her in 2016 or 17 before she passed away. And so we interviewed just on the phone. Now we would do a Zoom interview, right? And it would be really fun. But oh my gosh, that was one of the most incredible interviews I mean, I think we talked for over an hour, and most of me was just like, because she did all of these amazing things. Um, so, and there were so many connections. Ray, when she was 7, her grandfather took her to see, they had captured, the US had captured a mini submarine from the Nazis here, from the Germans. And it was touring the country, and her grandfather took her to see this. And as she climbed down into this tiny little submarine and looked through the periscope, she decided what she wanted to do. She wanted to build ships for the US Navy. Now, that's a big thing for a 7-year-old to decide. But that's what she decided. And she had many paths to over obstacles, I guess, to overcome, of course. She was a woman. It was 1943. She was a black child. So it was very difficult for her to do what she did, but she made it through everything. And one day she taught herself how to work on, who remembers the UNIVAC? Look at this. See?
Me.
Yep. So she was a secretary in the Navy and she taught herself how to work on the computer. And one day everybody called in sick. And Ray jumped up, went over, and started doing the job. And of course, her boss was like, hey, you can't touch this. You know, you're not a computer. She knew what she was doing. And so she worked on the UNIVAC for like 8 years and then was eventually transferred to the division where she could help design the ship. And the very first ship that she helped design, she created a computer program, I should say, that she worked on all by herself with not a lot of help initially. This is her mother. Her mother would come and stay with her at night, and they would sometimes bring her little son who would sleep on the floor there. This is all true. Um, and she created a computer program that worked in just over 19 hours to design a whole ship, which used to take like 2 years of math, number crunching, all that stuff. It worked. It worked. And the first ship she designed was a frigate here. But the last ship designed, what do you think was?
A
A
submarine.
submarine, right? I mean, this book like wrote itself, right? How, I mean, it was just circular. So
Jen,
go ahead.
sorry, you've written 50 books.
Hmm.
This is maybe your first biography.
It is, yes.
How hard was it to sell? People talk that it's difficult to sell biographies. I'm asking you because, as you know, I'm writing too.
Yes.
It's a kind of an oive thing. It's so much work, and then you speak to actual people if they're alive and available, and you don't let them down. You write your shins off, and how hard are they to sell?
Well, okay, so this one was sold a few years ago, but when I initially went out with it, we were getting, some interest. We got a lot of, like, it's great, it's not for us, those lovely rejections. And then another book was sold about her. And so we just kind of tabled this book for a few years because, and that's what happens sometimes. Because that book came out, it was published, it was really fast, it won awards, and you're like, great. So I kind of thought, it was shelved for a while. And then I got a new agent and she happened to represent Veronica Miller Jameson, who's the illustrator, and she sent the manuscript to Veronica, and Veronica was like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to illustrate this book," and so we went out with it again. And an editor at Little Brown, who Veronica had worked with, was like, "Love this," and made an
But
offer.
Jen, one of the things that I discover in this interview series,
Hmm.
and this is about number 200, um,
Good for game.
is that whatever all our dogmas,
Hmm.
are all questioned. Yesterday we talked about the perfection of imperfect poetry, and
Ah,
people say, oh, the editor has to choose the illustrator, and you shouldn't connect with an illustrator, and you shouldn't do this and this and this. And here you did actually the opposite. You connected with an illustrator who had a relationship with the editor. The editor
yeah.
loves the illustrator. Said, oh, show me what you've got here.
Yeah. Well, but that was because we both happened to be agented by the same agent.
Yeah.
But I will say the first time that we went out with this book, I did connect with one of my dear friends. Um, you know, and we attempted to sell it together and she was an illustrator for it and it just didn't work. So, it,
But
it
most times it doesn't work.
I mean, you never know. This industry is so much about kind of like winning the lottery, right? Like you have to be in the right place at the right time when they're looking for this particular thing and it pops up on their screen and you're like, "Oh, okay, yes." I mean,
My ticket.
Right, unless you have a relationship with them and you're, like a big name author and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I struggle like every other author does, and I know lots of, my friends do too, with lots and lots and lots of rejections. I mean, I literally last month just sold my first book. Yay. I can't announce it yet or talk about it. In about 18 months. So it had been a long time, you
Jen,
know.
18 months is bubkus.
It is these days, right?
I'm like,
Because things are
it took me
slowing down
took
and
me
yeah.
took me 70 years to sell my first
Well,
book.
there
So
you
come
go.
on.
Yeah, I mean
So it's a good time. This is a good time and place to name your agent.
so my current agent is Elizabeth Rudnick. But she's not the one who sold either of these books we're talking about. So I,
Uh,
I've had five agents. I've had five.
you sound like what's her name? Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
Oh,
little different. I've had the same husband for 35 years, yes, but
only five different agents.
yes. Yeah. And I mean, I have friends who've had the same agent the whole way. Agents are awesome and and they do a lot for your career. But I am also, I mean, you probably can't guess. I'm a very like this is how excited person and I want things done a certain way and so sometimes it works with the agent, sometimes it works for a certain amount of time, and then sometimes it doesn't. But all of the agents I've had before are amazing. It just
Mhm,
got to the point where we just, didn't
mhm.
particularly fit well.
Well, you're an engineer and you're Navy and you're Jen Swanson.
And I mean, yeah.
And I don't
I,
want you I don't want you to change.
well, I also grew up with three brothers, so I learned to like, make my,
You learn to
uh,
be tough.
yes, and just stand up for myself. So, and I also, I don't know, I really I like to work. And, a couple of my agents have been like, oh my gosh, you have like four books in the works. Like, you should slow down. And I was like, no, no, I will tell you when I'm ready to slow down. So,
I love you for this. But that's a great book,
yeah.
and I wish you great success with it.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
yeah,
wait, can I say one more thing about this book? So
it's your interview. You can say whatever you
the
like.
state of Arkansas has chosen this as their Arkansas Great Read for from the National Book Festival at the Library of Congress.
Wow.
So I get to go back because I presented at the Library of Congress back in 2019 for my Save the Crash Test Dummies book. I'm not presenting this year, but I get to go there and sign books for the honor.
Fantastic.
So if you are in the DC area and you come to the National Book Festival, I think it's September 6th, come to the Arkansas State table, and myself and Veronica, we will be there signing copies of this book.
That's
So
wonderful.
I'm so honored and I'm so thrilled that Ray Montague was honored in this way. She's such an amazing and inspiring woman. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't write a lot of biographies, but we've talked about this before. This story would not let me go, right? Like I was like, I have to write her story. So there you go. There's my biography.
Which is the quagmire that I'm in. Let's move on then from quagmires and parapets and biographies, and we're going to talk now about your huge opus. This is one huge book.
It is.
Um, it weighs a kilogram. Talk about a big book, and it is a big book. How do you do this, Jen? I'm assuming, I know that Dylan Thuras is the guy behind Atlas Obscura, but I'm guessing, and he's your co-author, but I'm guessing you did most of the heavy lifting here.
Actually, no. No, this came mostly from the brilliant brain of Dylan Thuras. So this
Hmm.
follows on the heels of the first book, which was the Kid's Guide to Exploring the World, right? I'm gonna get that wrong.
Yeah. Sold
Um,
hundreds of thousands of copies.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a New York Times bestseller. But Dylan, first of all, he's so amazing to work with. And Atlas Obscura, if you're not familiar with it, is this huge adult kind of travel company where they go around the world. They have lots of books about you can travel based on food places, all of these things. So they're all about cool places around the world. And Dylan came up with this idea of what if we follow the inventions around the world? But it's so much more than that. So, big question, how did I get brought on this project? Because this was Dylan's idea and he took it to Workman Publishing. So, it's I had done a book with Workman Publishing called the Big Fat Notebook, the Chemistry Big Fat Notebook series. So I knew the editors, they were aware of me, and they were looking for a co-author, and one of the editors recommended me for this book. And so I was put in touch with them. And then I had to try out for this book.
Oh, you had to audition?
Oh yeah. So every time I've written for like a brand, because I did it for American Girl and Lego and whatever, you have to try out, which means you have to basically, write your tail off and send in your best, this is it. It is just like applying for a job. And if you look at this book, we're talking about all of these complex topics. Notice that you get like 150 words. So you have to talk about like quantum computing in 150 words. Go, right? Like it was wild. Thankfully, I passed the test. And then I was brought on. So by the time I got there, Dylan had laid out a lot of the cool places around the world. And then I dove in and we worked together and I did a huge amount of research to add on to what he did. And then we would just work back and forth. And it's really funny because for the launch day on the 12th, we did a bunch of interviews and people are like, you mean you've never met him? We've never met in person. We did everything on the wonders of Zoom, but it was a fabulous collaboration because we're both like the 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid who gets so excited about facts. So all of our talks would be like, well, I found this fact. Well, I found this fact. Well, look, no, this is cool. Like, what do we get to put in the book? And then we would only have 150. So we're like, this fact has to go. This fact has to go. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. But basically, let me see if I can read the actual thing. Um, this illustrated and STEM-oriented exploration of the planet's 50 most interesting inventions and scientific discoveries sends middle grade readers on an unforgettable trip around the planet and across time. So what it really is it's connections of inventions. Not I can stop. I don't know if you want to ask me questions or you want me to explain more because I just keep talking.
Okay, I'll tell you, when you open the book,
Okay.
I'll just say from my point of view, and then
Yeah.
you'll correct me or elaborate
Yeah.
or elucidate or any other word that begins with an E um, and ends with an E. So you open the book up and say, well, what is this? If you don't know Atlas Obscura, all of these inventions are tied to visit a certain place, a certain museum,
Mm-hmm.
or certain. It took me a couple of pages to realize, oh, this is what makes this book so special
Yeah.
that you can learn about an inventor, you can learn about an invention, and actually go to visit the museum,
Right.
go to visit where it happened.
Not for all of them, but
Yeah.
most of them. Like they're not gonna go let you look at, like the fusion reactor. Real close.
Or the building in New York where all the
Oh,
information.
the secret building in New York. Yes, you can't go in there.
I dare not mention its name.
Exactly, exactly. But what we did is it's inventions through time and across the world. So let me talk. So here are the pages. And also, you want to talk about gorgeous illustrations. This is gorgeously illustrated by Ruby Fresson, and it is just amazing. And so we start with fire, which is a basic invention. I mean, and people were like, well, why is that invention? Well, I mean, yes, there was fire, but it's when you start doing something with it. So what we did, this occurred back in like the Wonderwork cave, which was, I don't know, like almost 2 million years ago. The first hominids created fire and then they used it to cook food. So then that also, all of the nutrients made them grow bigger brains and they got more technological. So we have like an ancient one on this side. This side of fire is more of a recent technology. It is a cool fire research laboratory in Maryland where their job is to figure out how fires happen. And sometimes that means they build entire houses and see where the fire goes so that they can find out, what happened. I
Jen,
didn't know
you know why I can't write a book like that?
why.
Because I would send the kids to a marshmallow factory.
Well, that would be a cool place too. That would be a very cool place. Yeah.
Who's okay? Well, okay.
Well, so once you have fire, then you make glass, right? And this is a bridge in let's see where this in China made completely of glass, right? Now, the if you look at the amazing illustrations, you see this person who's laying down looking at that's me. I would be crawling across this if I mean I don't even think I could do this because this is over a chasm that's like 1,300 feet deep. I don't like heights. There would be basically no way I would go to this. But it's very cool to talk about. And then on the other side we have they're talking about glass blowing. So you have fire, then you have glass. Well, what can you make next? Lenses, and telescopes. So this is the Vera Rubin telescope, which just came online recently and is amazing. So you see how they all kind of go together.
Well,
And so,
keep going, Jen, because you get the microscopes.
oh yeah, then also microscopes, very good. Yep. So we have
My favorite
telescopes and
topic.
microscopes from lenses.
And Robert Hooke,
Yep,
but
right
no,
here.
no, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, who discovered bacteria.
You know, we talk about, yeah. So here's the thing. This is where we run into a lot of the problems. As you just pointed out, like history likes to pick one person as the inventor. But we all know that's not true, right?
Mhm.
Because it's usually a group of people. Sometimes people do it independently. Like Dylan was saying the other day, that writing, I think it was writing, was invented four different times in four unique places all around the world. Um, so even though one person can get the credit for it, they've usually built on other people's ideas or there's a group of them but they only name the person, there's a lot of things. So it was really kind of interesting for us to pick out who we highlighted and who was included. Again, remember 150 words, so that's not a lot. But yeah, we have microscopes and then we could go on. Then we go from microscopes to microbes and like
Yay!
right, and we learn all
Yeah.
about microbes here. And there's a place to visit. We learn about Louis Pasteur.
Yes.
And then we, of course, have to talk about surgery, right? Because there's microbes in surgery. And there's lots of fun facts in here. This is the old operating theater, but over here is the Da Vinci surgical system, which is a robot that can operate. And you can actually go to a museum here and let's see, where is it? The Surgeons Hall Museum in Edinburgh, Scotland, and you can actually like operate this, not on a person, but you can make it move and all this kind of stuff. But that's what it does. And then because we kind of there's what we call inflection points, because if you just kept going, chronologically, I should say, chronologically, then you'd get to the end in 8 pages. So there are points where you have to back up. So when we get to like satellites, right? We have satellites, which are like, GPS and everything everybody uses. Well, what is a satellite? At the basis, it's a map. So then we go all the way back to map making because map making is very historic, and then you can start another path. So this book goes forward and backwards and all this kind of stuff, but it's all intermingled. And when Dylan and I were working on it together, that's kind of what we had to figure out were the inflection points. And then we could only include, well, we have 100, but we could only include 50 title inventions. So like, fire, satellites, all this kind of stuff. But so that's more of what we did. It was
But Jen, who got to decide?
well, we both worked on it, but ultimately Dylan was the kind of the lead author because it's an Atlas Obscura and it's his brand. So, but we had, I definitely had suggestions. And like we had gotten to the point where we, of course, we talked about CERN, and I love CERN because you know that I've visited it before, which is amazing. And we were kind of like, is this the end? Where do you go from particle physics, right? Like, hello, that's
I would have gone straight to chocolate, you know.
oh, well, that works. Well, but actually what I learned when I visited Brookhaven Lab and CERN is that um PET scans and MRIs came about because of the research and the stuff that's done at through particle physics. So we had a way to go back and start over it in neuroscience. So we end with, the AI, what is it? Google's DeepMind, right? That's where we end at the end. But Dylan and I mean, we could do a whole other book on this, do the same concept and take completely different
Well,
inventing paths.
this is what my next question. Like you could do
Yeah.
one on food and one on musical instruments, and there's no
Absolutely.
there's no end to that.
No, and
If you don't want to do the food one, I will apply.
yes. Well, Alice Obscura will decide which ones they
No,
want to do.
actually,
But
Jen, I won't apply because I see how much passion you have for this and how much hard work goes into these things.
oh yeah, we've worked on
And
this for like 18 months or
then,
so.
I say to myself, oy vey, I told you I'm struggling to write a 300 word bio, and this is,
Sometimes that's harder. Like when I was doing a Periscope, that was only my second picture book, and I was working. So my first one was Footprints Across the Planet, and that one was crazy. It was like 150 words, like or 170, something like that.
now
And
we talked about that in our last interview.
yeah, and I don't know how something that small came out of me because I'm used to writing like really big books. But when I was working with a Periscope, you've had Lori Walmark on your show before.
Mhm.
She's my
Sure.
bestie. And we're doing the edits for a Periscope. I think the initial manuscript was like 1,800 words. And my editor's like, okay, you have to get it down to 1,000. And I was like, okay. So, you cut, you cut, you cut, you cut. And then you send it back. And the editor's like, well, but we lost the story. And I'm like, well, that's because you made me cut the words. So I emailed Lori and I was like, is this how it goes with picture books? Like you take the words out, you put it back in, she's like, yes. And I was like, oh man. This is why I like writing middle grade. No,
Give me my 50,000 words back.
right? I mean, yeah, no, it worked really well. But yeah, that was an eye opener for me. Picture books might be small, but in some ways they're a lot more difficult to write than middle grade because the words that you choose have to be like the best ones. And sometimes that's take this one out, put this one in, take this one out, moving around. So yeah, that was a learning process for me. Even though by this time I'd written 45 books, I felt like I was a brand new writer again.
The wonderful Stephen Fraser, who's been
Oh,
on
I know him.
the
Yes,
show,
yep.
and so he has a talk called "The Passion
Okay.
of Writing Picture Books." And when I interviewed him, as somebody who's writing,
Yes.
this passion is more of like a Christian passion, with Jesus suffering, or
Sometimes it is.
in this case, another Jew. Um, then we talk about passion, so much passion, but it's passion that derives a lot from suffering.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you're a writer, some people like sometimes you suffer more for some certain books than you do for the others.
Boy, am I
Sometimes,
suffering.
yeah.
So, but Jed, what this is fantastic, and I love your book, and I love the idea, and this is something that schools are going to want, libraries are going to want, and parents who want the kids to be technological are going to want, and it's like a an encyclopedia that doesn't go from A to B to C, but goes it segues from one thing in a
Yes.
rational way to and I think really it's brilliant.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to say that we just found out that we got a starred review from School Library Journal.
Okay, why don't you say that? That's good.
Yeah. Well, it was while we were doing all of our interviews. The publisher sent us the email. So I don't have it in front of me, but it was
That's wonderful.
yeah, it was just it's a star is always surprising to me because middle grade STEM books don't necessarily get a lot of stars or
You know, I've had this discussion um, with several of your colleagues,
yeah,
without naming names,
sure.
who think uh, that nonfiction authors are hard done by in the industry
Yeah,
and deserve more credit. I think they deserve as much credit as fiction. Um,
I would agree. That's not always how it's not always how it works. Sometimes it works that way. It's just right now publishing is like every other industry is going through a whole bunch of changes. And so at the core of this, they are a business and they have to make money. And I'm not saying they can't make money from nonfiction, but it's just I think they probably need to go through some changes and kind of look at how they do things, and so forth.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I totally get that. You know, there's just so much nonfiction in the school market, and there's books that segue into the education system, and there's STEM and then STEAM and STEAM and whatever. I just made that one up. People are going to now look for STEAM. And I think that there is a place for nonfiction right beside the
Absolutely.
fiction, which brings
Absolutely.
me, yeah. So now I'm segueing to the question that I really want to ask you.
Okay.
It's like turning the page in your marvelous
Got it.
encyclopedia of inventions, which is why are we so obsessed with this dichotomy between fiction and nonfiction? I don't believe that nonfiction exists. I don't believe that fiction exists. Everything is sort of, for me, a kind of meshiness.
Okay. So are you talking like on a writing level or are you talking on a sales level? Because that's different. Like are you
No,
saying that fiction, because fiction and nonfiction do occasionally meet, they have what they call like creative nonfiction or informational fiction, and that occurs in books.
historical fiction, historical narrative
Yeah,
nonfiction,
right.
narrative potato
Or
fiction,
or are you
fiction,
talking
that's
about
nonfiction.
why fiction books seem to sell better than nonfiction
No,
kids
I
books?
don't think that they do. I think it's just,
Um,
what's that? Hold on. It's just because, you know, there's categories like nonfiction. When you talk about scholastic and school books and so on, that's nonfiction, and they sell a lot more of those. So when you're talking about trade books, on
yes,
the kind that you buy in bookstores,
right.
well, maybe that's the case, but then we're ignoring all the millions of books that kids buy as part of the school system. So I don't want to go into that. I want to go into the writing because I'm going to say something outlandish, and I've been
Okay.
waiting a
All
year to
right.
say this because
Oh, okay, great.
I don't believe that any book is nonfiction, and I don't believe that any book is fiction either.
So, okay.
Castigate me.
Okay, so I need more though. Like what? So you
I'm
think
not
they're all
giving you more.
stories? No, I mean, because I don't exactly understand how you say. So you're just saying a book is a book,
Yeah, a book is a book,
and you're just
and there's no such thing as a book that's nonfiction. And you know, I got that idea because I was interviewing one of your colleagues,
okay.
not naming names, a terrific writer, famous and wonderful, and she said that, or he, or they,
There you go.
said that it's the 25th year anniversary of publication of the first uh, book, the first nonfiction book. And
Okay.
I said to him, her, them, it. So why don't you republish it? And the answer was, well, it has to be brought up to date. There's a lot of things that are,
Yes.
and
Changed.
yeah, and see here, because at the end of the day, Jen, I also want you to write fiction or more
Well,
fiction.
I have written fiction. It has not sold yet. So if you would like to buy it or like hint to other editors that they should buy
I,
my fiction,
I,
that would be
I,
amazing.
I would love to see it. But so here's the thing that I'm going to say, that nonfiction is a slice of nonfiction, just like this is exactly what you were saying. There's many different people who invented something,
Right.
and when you write a nonfiction about one of them, you're writing about one of them. You're not writing about the others. And so as a scientist, I was a scientist for, I don't know,
Right.
35 years, and some
Yeah.
people say I still am. You never know if your results are going to last more than a year or two or three. You never know when somebody's going to come, refute your findings, change them, modify them. Oh, you thought Pluto was a planet, but oh, hey, sorry, it's not a planet anymore. We can't sell those. We can't sell those books. So we think that we're talking about things that are real, but as a scientist, you never really know which part of your real is the real real. On the other hand, when you write fiction, it's real. I mean, if you write a story about a kid named,
What?
well, you have to help me here.
Oh, um, Ned.
Ned. You write a story about a kid named Ned. Ned becomes a real fiction, a real fiction, a character. And there's very few science books from 150 years ago that kids still read, but a lot of kids still read um, Alice in Wonderland, or even Jules Verne, which is
Yeah.
150 years ago.
Okay, so you're basing this on the fact that science books don't last forever, therefore,
That nonfiction doesn't last forever. That what we think today is real is not going to be real in 20 years.
uh,
Some of it.
yeah, you're not going to get me to agree with that necessarily.
Okay,
Science
disagree. And I want
changes.
Jen. I want you to disagree.
Well, okay. So there is the thing is the way our system works, kids go to school and they read books, okay? And there are, there are nonfiction books because you need to learn about the world around you. You need to learn about history that actually happened and all of these kinds of things. So yes, things can change, particularly in science. Science changes, but that doesn't mean that those earlier books that I read as a kid weren't helpful at the time. So all of
Helpful.
the,
Helpful is something else here.
well, okay,
And
but
history is in the eye of the
but
beholder.
okay, but
When I was a kid in Canada, and we learned that Canada won the War of
you've been waiting a
18.
long time to have this conversation with me, I could tell.
I love to talk to you, Jen. When I
Let's put Jen on the spot on Facebook Live. Okay.
no, I love you for this. So the War of 18, I have nobody else better to talk to in the world
Oh,
than you.
great. Thanks.
How's that?
Okay.
When we studied the War of 1812 in Canada, we learned that Canada won the war. When Americans um, learned about the War of 1812, they learned that they won the war and the Star Spangled Banner in Baltimore and everything. And when the Brits, who really won the war, well, they don't even learn about the War of 1812 because they were busy with the French.
Yeah. So that's not really a conversation that I want to get into. I'll be honest.
Okay.
History, that it can be different. I will. That's not my focus. My focus is science. So I'm happy to talk about science and how
I,
science changes over
I,
time.
I love your
Um,
focus. And I'm also a
yeah.
scientist. So
So,
talk about how science changes over time.
I mean, okay. If you want, give me a second. Let me grab a book and I will show you this. All right.
All right.
Okay. Now, when I was a kid, you've heard my story. I started a science club in my garage when I was 7. Okay, this was my science book. This
Wow.
it's yeah, I was 7. This is my science book that I used. It is Science in Your Own Backyard by Elizabeth K. Cooper. I think it was written in like, I don't know, back in the 50s. Let me see if I can read this without my glasses. 1958. Okay. And it's lots of words. It's lots of pictures. Lots of words. There's experiments in here. Um, but here is my point about, is the science in there different now? Possibly. I mean, I haven't read it in a really long time. But that book at that time inspired me to do what I wanted to do, to follow science, to learn more about it, and to kind of do science my whole life. And that was a nonfiction book. Now, I also read lots of fiction books, but I also read lots of nonfiction books. Like I loved learning about Egypt and the pharaohs and all this kind of stuff. And I'd read the nonfiction books, but then I would go and read the fiction books where I was the kid, back in Egypt and all this kind of stuff. So I think they both have their places together. One is maybe to inspire you, to help you to understand better. But do things change in science? Yes. Do things change, in history? I mean, yes. But, you know, the one thing that I think you're talking about is perspective. And again, I don't want to go down the path because there's so many things going on in today's world. And, but it's it's the way in which you kids are excited about stuff. So, I mean, those of us that grew up in the 70s, the nonfiction science books were like this. I mean, there were better ones too. There were kids ones, but they've turned into such amazingly wonderful, inspirational, exciting books. One of the books that I read, oh my gosh, where is it? This one is one of my favorite nonfiction middle grade books that just came out. The Doomsday Detectives: How Walter and Luis Alvarez Solved the Mystery of Dinosaur Extinction. You would like this because it's actually a biography about how they did it. But there's so many different scientific levels on this. And the cool thing is, look, for the interesting stuff
Graphic
and
novel.
the complex stuff, it's not a complete graphic novel, but for the
Yeah.
complex
But-
topics, they do graphic spreads, but it's also very much a narrative nonfiction book.
Okay, so Jen, the reason that I love to talk to you about these things is because you bring me to new vistas.
I hope so.
So
At least with STEM books. That's where I live.
no, and that's what intrigues me
Yeah.
about you. And what you're saying, and I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this, is that nonfiction for young children,
Hmm.
picture book, chapter book, middle grade,
Yeah.
is an evolving genre.
Yes.
And and that makes it very exciting. Fiction, we would all be happy to write Maurice Sendak's book, or to emulate Charles um,
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Something like
Um,
that. Yeah.
so that's very, very, very,
I mean, I would like to
these,
write, like, as a kid, I read all of the Nancy Drew books. I loved Harriet the Spy. So you see a theme because I still to this day love I read before I go to bed, like light reading. I do the little murder mystery lights, where the person cooks like and bakes cakes or whatever, and then they solve mysteries. So I love mysteries, but guess what? Science is a big mystery. You know that. And it changes and you have to critically think. So even though that's what I do with my nonfiction, even the fiction books that I've written, manuscripts that I've written that still haven't been published, they're all have that element of mysteries in there and science. So that's where my interests, kind of cross. And so it would actually be interesting to look at kids and see if they still, if the, if kids experience that too. If their interest in fiction shows up in what nonfiction they're reading. That would actually be very interesting to figure out.
absolutely. So I mean,
Yeah.
as usual, you've taught me and the audience a great lesson in this
I'm
ongoing.
I mean, it's an evolving kind of thing. And like I said, I think publishing is evolving right now. Like most other businesses, they're gonna have to figure out how to work in the area they're in. They're gonna have to figure out how to reach people and sell books because they are a business and they're going through that like anybody else. And so, I teach at Highlights. I teach a class at Highlights. I've been doing that, oh my gosh, let's see, 15 years, for people who want to learn how to do nonfiction. And, I tell people that you need to, it's great that you want to write this topic, but somehow you have to connect it to something. You have to be creative about the way. I'm going to show you one more book. So hold on. Sorry. I should have pulled these beforehand. This is by Melissa Stewart. Now, Melissa Stewart is an amazing author. I mean, she has what, 200 books. This one is so cool because it's physical science, which she doesn't always do a lot of. But this is From Bam to Burp, a carbon atom's never-ending journey through space, time, and you. And I saw this book and I absolutely adore it. A, it's because physical science, and I love that. But it basically takes you on a journey of the carbon atom from how it goes, through space, through dinosaurs, let's see, through, oh my gosh, the jungle and how it goes through the plants and all of these things, and it ends up going through you. Now, to me, this is, of course, a nonfiction book, but couldn't you also see this as a fiction book? Sort of.
My point
Yeah.
exactly.
But to me, having two distinct books with two different ways of looking at it,
Mhm.
it actually covers all of the kids. Because there are some kids that only like fiction or that like fiction
Mhm.
more and they connect with it. And there are some kids that really connect with nonfiction. So now they each have their book. Wouldn't it be wonderful in our world if those two kids got together and shared their points of view?
No, but yeah,
That
but
that would
Melissa's
be
book,
wonderful.
yeah, for sure. But Melissa's book is a crossover.
It is.
Um, she might
Yeah.
not agree with us, but for me, it's a crossover. It's great.
Well, it's
It's
absolutely,
a
but
story. It's a
yeah, go ahead.
story based on science, which for me is like the best. It's the mashup of both worlds.
Okay, so I just heard something there. So you think of books as being stories. And so do you think nonfiction books are not stories?
The good ones are stories.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, now you're interviewing
That's
me.
that's another thing we can disagree about. I mean, because there's different types of nonfiction. And the thing is there's as many types of books, styles of books as there are people. So, like I was a facts kid. I'm still a facts kid. And so, I write like I wrote National Geographic, like Brain Games, everything robotics. Those are more fact-based ones. My one Beastly Bionics is all about biomimicry. And so you could argue, I start at the chapter with a little story about, like a bionic um, spider and how it's creeping at you and so forth. And then I show you different things. So there are stories in there. There's not a beginning, middle, end story.
Stories don't have to have a classic arc.
Okay. Because
They just have
that's kind of what
they,
that's what I'm wondering
well, hold
if
on. They move us from A to somewhere else. And actually,
okay, I agree.
now we'll go back to your wonderful new book, which is also story based because it takes us from A to somewhere else. It takes us from fire
Yes.
to rocket ships and to AI.
And to telescopes and AI, yes.
So there you go, dear. So you see, we've diverged and converged again. But
There you go.
I'm going to just say that we should. I mean, you have interviewed me,
Ah, well, good.
and I would
Well,
I
I
would
have a podcast. I'm good at that too.
had a very
And
successful
we
one.
had you on the podcast, yes.
Yes, but you were talking about science. I would love to be on the podcast to talk about how science is a story.
Well, at the moment we're on hiatus, but I will, yeah, when we come back, we'll have to get you back on.
Okay, listen, I love hiatus. As soon as we're finished, I'm gonna look it up and find out what it means. It's like an animal, right? It lives in the
No,
forest.
no, literally we are, yeah, we are on a break. Of course.
I know. Jen, this has been fantastic. I hope so. Anyway, after your hiatus, if you want to reciprocate and roast me, I will be a willing
No,
good.
you challenged me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've been waiting a year to have this discussion with you because I was hoping that the viewers and listeners and I would learn something new, and we did.
Well, good. I'm glad.
So it doesn't get better than that. So I've been with the wonderful multi 50 book author, five agent, wonderful person, Jen Swanson, who is celebrating two books this year. The first
Yeah.
one, which we showed at the beginning, up Periscope, wave it
Yep.
around,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Little Brown, and the brand new one, the Atlas Obscura Explorer's Guide to Inventing the
Invention.
World.
Yeah. Can I tell you about a new book I have coming out in October of this year?
Yes, and you can tell me about some other thing you've got going on, which is
Oh, yeah. So this book, Three
I
Weeks
have
in
to
the
remind you.
Rainforest. Yeah,
Mhm.
a rapid inventory in the Amazon. This is about a group of amazing scientists at the Field Museum in Chicago and how they work with the indigenous peoples and scientists down in the Amazon to help recommend it be protected. And this was with Charles Bridge Publishing and my awesome editor, Alyssa Pusey. So that comes
And
out. It comes out October, oh gosh, 14th, I think.
okay,
It's somewhere around there.
wonderful. That's wonderful. I love Charles Bridges.
And then yeah, oh, Charles Bridge is awesome. And Alyssa, she is one of my first editors, and man, she keeps you on your toes, let me just say. She's an amazing editor. And then finally, I am working on a stage show based on my book Astronaut Aquanaut with the fabulous Janet Ivy Dunsing of Janet's Planet. And we will be coming to a city near you starting in October. We're going to, our first gig is in Texas. And we're going to be doing a full stage show of Which Would You Rather Be, an Astronaut or an Aquanaut. And it's based on my book, Astronaut Aquanaut, like this, by National Geographic Kids. So I'm very
That's
excited.
fantastic.
So yeah, we have
Jen,
lots going on.
I'll be delighted if this comes to a city near me. You know, I live near Tel Aviv, and
Well,
I'll,
I
I'll
don't
be,
know if
I'll
we're
be,
going out of the country yet, but we'll see. You never know.
I'll be happy to see you performing here and meet you in person. Until then, I must say that I feel like I know you in person. Um,
Yes.
this has been a wonderful journey with the author, multi-author, prize-winning Jennifer Swanson. And I'm Mel Rosenberg, the what am I? The host of the Children's Literature Channel of the New Books Network. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Go out and buy
Okay.
Jen's amazing books, and we'll come back
Bye.
just to for a little tete-a-tete.
Sure. Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Mel. Bye.
Ah, you kidding? I love it. Bye bye, world.
Bye.